I'm here at Pac-12 Network for some TV today, and I just finished watching Coach Prime, and he's done something that only one other team in the country has done. Him, Colorado, and Utah are the only teams in the nation that have two Power Five wins. Most teams don't schedule like that, right? Like this is part of what the problem with college football has been is that you play some FCS games, okay, you play some Group of Five games, but nobody plays two Power Five games. Not really, not many people. And definitely, people don't win both of them, and that's why nobody schedules them. Because you're like week one and week two, two Power Five games. I'm trying to get to the playoff. I'm trying to be undefeated. Well, Utah and Colorado are both undefeated, and they've both beaten two Power Five teams, and then the only two in the country. I think I was looking at Colorado's schedule for next year, and they have an FCS game week one. I think Colorado and Alabama. I think Aflac should buy them both out. I'm serious because Aflac sponsors Dion and Saban. And if you watch Colorado, you notice the Dion commercials are everywhere, but the Dion commercials when Colorado plays on Fox, there is a lot of synergy there in the advertising. And I thought when Colorado was the only spring football game that was on television this year, it was presented by Aflac. Nobody's told me this, but my theory is that Aflac kind of sponsored ESPN's coverage of that spring game. Aflac should buy out Alabama and Colorado's first two games next year and get them to play each other in the opener. They both already have their schedules done. So you'd have to buy out Alabama's Western Kentucky opponent, and you'd have to buy out Colorado's FCS opponent. But at this point, ride the train. I mean, Fox already is. Fox has already said their pregame show is going to be at Colorado State next week. That's crazy. They're not even broadcasting that game. In 2 weeks, it's going to be interesting to see what Fox and ESPN do because Colorado's going to play Oregon, and then in 3 weeks they're going to play USC. And right now, Colorado's ranked 22nd. I think they've got to be at least a top 16 team. I think they'll be around 16, 15. And when you say, oh, I don't know if they're that, there's two teams that have two Power Five wins this year, them and Utah. By the way, both of them won today without their best. I mean, Colorado gave up a bunch of rushing yards. Colorado won last week. I know the numbers were off the charts. 4 100-yard receivers. Shedeur Sanders, 510 yards, Colorado record. But he missed some throws in that game. I think that's part of what's impressive about Colorado. They have not played a perfect game to get to 2-0. Utah today, by the way, as an aside, was also really impressive because they were not good. And they still went on the road and beat Baylor without Cam Rising. And they'll get him back. And the two of them, it's fun, the funny thing is the Pac-12 spent the last 12 years, basically, trying to get some rivalry. They kind of gave up on it between Colorado and Utah. They came together. They're the mountain schools. Everyone else has a natural travel partner and rival. Those two should be rivals. The Rocky Mountain Rumble or whatever they called it, it didn't happen. This year, they're going to play at the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe those two teams, maybe the winner of that game is going to go to the Pac-12 championship. I don't know. I mean, the Heisman stuff with Shedeur is real. It just is. Like, he had the 2-point conversion that the guy didn't catch it. It didn't count. It was a pretty good throw. It was a lot like what the play Caleb Williams made last week on a touchdown to Brennan Rice against Nevada. So, like, the Heisman stuff is real for Shedeur. It's absolutely real. And the beauty of, like, all these challenges of playing TCU and then playing Nebraska and both of them being on Big Noon, if you schedule that difficult and then you win, the rewards come. Like, you reap the rewards so much faster. The hype grows so much more. If you think the hype is high right now, it's just getting started. Because they're going to be 3-0 after they beat Colorado State next week. Going to play an Oregon team. They haven't played Texas Tech yet, but I think they'll win that game. But either way, that could be like a top 50, definitely a top 15. Could be a top 12 matchup. Like if Colorado scored 45, today they almost scored 40. So they're scoring a bunch of points. So like the hype's at a 10 right now, it feels like. But actually when you zoom out, it's at like a 3 based on where it could possibly go to. Because they're going to have two big shots with Oregon and USC. And at this point, I don't think you can count them out. I don't think you can say that they can't win one of those games, or at least you can't say it. You can't say no. You can't say it can't be done. Because I think what was so impressive today, they won without their best. It was a grindy game, and then you looked up and they blew Nebraska out. So that was it. Charles Kelly, their defensive coordinator, Shedeur, the whole thing. Like, they were down some players today. They still haven't had their big-time corner, the other one, Cormani McClain. They still haven't got one of their running backs in, Alton McCaskill. Slusher, the DB who made the tackle at the end of the TCU game on the 4th and 9, didn't play today. So they are. I don't think people realize they haven't played their best football yet. That's the crazy part. Anyway, I just had to get to that.